Good morning. Howdy, hi everyone. Aaron Boster here. It's October 25th, Saturday, 10:30 a.m. in the morning. This gorgeous day outside here in Ohio. I'm Aaron Boster, representing the Boster Center for Multiple Sclerosis, a single-point healthcare company where we care for families impacted by MS from around the globe. We're going to be kicking off the October Ask Me Anything MS live stream at the top of the hour. It's going to literally kick off in 30 minutes at 11 o'clock. I turned my camera on a little early to allow the members of this growing global online village to amass, get together, hang out, get sorted. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Calling out to all village members. Here we go. Jennifer Jones has just jumped online. OHIO, representing Springfield. Laura's in the house, representing Des Moines, Iowa. Great to see you. Delighted to have you here. Welcome, both of you. Welcome, welcome. Good morning, Andrew. Delighted to have you here. As you all jump online, please share where you're jumping on from. It's awesome to go back through the chat and see where all of these village members have amassed. Sven's representing Croatia. I was just in Croatia a couple months ago. It was absolutely amazing. We've got our moderator, Joe, in the house. What's up, Mr. Siders? Great to see you. OHIO, Norway representing. That's amazing. We got Bobby representing Arizona is in the house. What's going on, Betty? Good to see you. Jude, welcome, welcome from Virginia. Kansas representing. Michigan's in the house. Go Blue. Pennsylvania representing. We've got several people from Pennsylvania, and Indiana is in the house. St. Louis, Missouri representing. North Carolina representing. What's going on, Steve Sherlock? Where are you coming from today, partner? Thank you very much, Jennifer. Good morning, Russ. Great to see you. I hope you and yours are doing well. Polly's in the house. What's going on in Missouri? Minecrit's from Germany. Where in Germany are you from? Andrew, that's a great question. We'll tackle that when we go live at the top of the hour. Thank you for the well wishes, Larry. What's your weather like out in Arkansas? Massachusetts is in the house. Idaho is in the house. What's going on, guys? Long Island representing. Florida's in the house. You may have some of the best weather that we've seen so far on the live stream. Maine is representing. Sussex, UK is in the house. Queens representing. Got a caller in from London. Amazing to see everyone jumping online. Thank you for being here. As always, this is Aaron Boster, representing the Boster Center for Multiple Sclerosis and single-point healthcare, where we're caring for families impacted by MS literally from around the globe. We opened up our center about 5 years ago, right at the beginning of the pandemic, and it's been an honor and a privilege to help families impacted by MS in my hometown of Columbus, Ohio. We got Jabber from Philly representing. I'm really glad you're here today, nonstop in the house. What's up? Netherlands is representing. That's amazing. You're in Stuttgart. Cool, man. Utah representing. We've got South Africa in the house. Cape Town. South Africa is very high on my list of places I hope to visit. We've got Zurich in the house. What's going on? BC representing Columbus, Ohio. OHIO. I hear you, Fro. Well, welcome, welcome. Get yourself comfy and cozy, guys. It's 10:34. We're going to go live at the top of the hour. We've got Toronto, Canada in the house. Las Vegas representing. We've got North Carolina here. Do me a favor, guys. When you jump online, not only tell me where you're coming from, share with me what your weather is like out there. I'd love to kind of get a feel for what kind of weather you're dealing with. There's 78 of you that have jumped online so far. That's amazing. Medical cannabis up in the house with questions about traveling overseas and surgeries. Warsaw, Poland is in the house. That's where my family comes from. MRI questions. I dig MRI questions. All right, guys, get yourself comfy and cozy. Say hi to your neighbor, grab a drink. I'm going to go downstairs and get a hot coffee and a glass of water. I'll be back in a little bit. UK is in the house. It's rainy in Arkansas. It's kind of the status of affairs. Syracuse, New York in the house. Arlington, Texas, already starting to heat up this early in the morning. Good morning and welcome, everyone. There's 80 of you that have jumped online. We've got 25 minutes until we go live at the top of the hour. Naples, Florida is in the house. I'm going to step away and mute my mic so that I can get a cup of coffee. Make yourself comfy and cozy. I'll leave you in the capable hands of the moderators. Please say hi to your neighbor. I'll be right back. Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mary had a little lamb. Can you guys hear me? Testing, testing. Jude's giving me a thumbs up. Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4. Mary had a little lamb. Over. Awesome, guys. Okay, be right back with some coffee in hand. Howdy, hi, everyone. I'm back, coffee in hand. There's 83 of you. That's amazing. Looking through the chat. I really appreciate Joe Siders being here. Thank you, Joe, for all your help always. The moderators make this live stream so successful. My name is Aaron Boster, representing the Boster Center for MS, where we care for families impacted by MS from around the globe. I am really excited. In 15 short minutes, we're going to flip the camera on, and we're going to start to take your questions about MS live. So we've got some good questions popping up in the chat. Let's save those for when we go live so I can answer them. Scotland's in the house. Columbus, Ohio's in the house. What's going on, Terry G? Hello, Nancy. Error Hive in the house. Glad that you could be here, Error Hive, and I love your handle. What's going on, Portugal? Alexandra, that's amazing. Where in Portugal are you? I've spent an amazing week in Lisbon a few years back. What's going on, Tammy, representing NH? Glad to see you. Wisconsin's in the house. This is fantastic. RRFLUXX, that's true. Onstead, Michigan's in the house. What's going on? Labor and Delivery Nurse 27. There's 88 of you that have jumped online. Thank you. We're going to go live and turn my camera on at the top of the hour at 11 o'clock sharp. As you jump online and get ourselves ready for an Ask Me Anything MS live stream, please share where you're jumping on from and tell me what your weather's like out there. I'm coming at you live from Columbus, Ohio. Little Rock, Arkansas is in the house. Angie Moe, what's going on, lady? Thank you for being here. BC, welcome, welcome, welcome. So Keith says, please slow down on the short videos. They are annoying and of limited data. Well, Keith, two things. Number one, all the short form videos come from my long form videos. Number two, if you don't enjoy watching them, I would just swipe past them. You don't have to look at them. I'm sorry that you find them to be annoying. Sunny in London. I'm digging that. Rainy in Kansas. Jersey Shore is in the house. What's your weather like? You said it's chilly out there, Carol. Hamburg, PA in the house. Sarah, it's true. We love coffee. That sounds fun. I haven't seen a pot like that. Holland, Ohio is in the house. What's going on, guys? So, Lynn, that's a very good question. Ask that question when I go live so I can answer it for you. Lisa, thank you for the kind words. William, you can call the clinic and we can go through all of those details with you. You can go to bosterms.com, that's our website, or you can call 614-304-3444 and we can hook you up. Sunny but cold in East Sussex. I'm digging that. Plymouth, Michigan's in the house. Plymouth, Michigan is a really nice place. Calgary in the house. What's going on, Canada? The Chatter's in the house. What's my favorite car? I'm really keen on my self-driving Tesla. Has nothing to do with anything except the fact that I really like the car to drive me. Hey guys, welcome everyone. Aaron Boster here, representing the Boster Center for MS. I am so excited to jump online. This is going to be our October live stream where I'll turn the camera on and answer your questions live. Everyone wave to Joe Siders, our amazing moderator. He's helping keep things smooth and, as always, leading the way. Joe's just put up a link to the Boster Corner. This is a free newsletter that you can sign up for if you like. You can cancel at any time. And we'll send you out a free monthly update on the latest and greatest in MS research and all the things going on at the Boster Center for MS. And it'll always tell you when I go live. So I do a monthly live stream, just like you're listening to right now. And it'll also tell you when I go on live answering questions for MS Views and News or MS Foundation or the National MS Society or what have you, just to keep you kind of in the loop. So feel free to click that and sign up for the link if you like. It's free to do it, and you can cancel at any time. We've got Cape Town, South Africa in the house, 64 degrees. Denver, Colorado is representing. What's going on, Ann? Great to see you. Thank you for being here. Valerie's asking about MRIs. That's a great question. Hold that question. We're going to go live in 11 minutes, and I will answer that for you. Good morning, everyone. It is a gorgeous but a little bit chilly Saturday morning here in Columbus, Ohio. I'm Aaron Boster. Super excited to jump on live with you as we do every month for these Ask Me Anything live streams. It's an awesome opportunity for me to get to connect with you. It makes me feel great to connect with this growing global online village. I love to tackle your questions live, helping you up your game, energize, empower, and educate families impacted by MS literally from around the globe. As you jump online, of course, share where you're jumping on from. Tell me what your weather's like out there. Grab a beverage so that we can do the MS Water Challenge together, because you know how we do it. And we'll be turning that camera on in 11 short minutes. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to throw a polling question in the chat. All right, guys, I just threw a polling question in the chat. It's no secret that I am a big fan of coffee. Sometimes I go to bed at night and I think, man, when I wake up, I get to have coffee. So the question in the chat is, are you team coffee or are you team tea? Mark your answer now. We'll keep the chat live for just a few short minutes. Judy, it's great to see you. Glad your weather is gorgeous in Tampa. What's going on, Baton Rouge? Whenever I think of Baton Rouge, I think of a bit of beer. Allison, it's great to see you. Thank you for being here. Donna's digging some coffee. Debbie wants to click both buttons. Red, on the other hand, ain't drinking either. Flat white. Yeah, Lisa, I dig that. Jennifer says, are we going to get a didactic today? I don't know. If we can all agree upon a topic, I would be very happy to lecture on it. Dublin, Ohio's in the house. What's going on, Mr. Robert Wilhelm? Thank you for being here, sir. As always, great to see you. I hope you and yours are doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm doing super McDuper. I am really, really thrilled to be here with you today. I am all jazzed and pumped to get ready to answer your MS questions live. That's going to happen in 9 short minutes. Welcome, everyone. There's 115 village members that have jumped online, filling my heart with joy. As you jump online, please share where you're jumping on from. Tell me where you hail from. Let me know what the weather is like over there. Get yourself comfy and cozy. We've got Team Red Bull in the house. We've got Allison manifesting her Britishness, saying that the only correct answer is tea, making me smile from ear to ear. Now, Doug Tagg, on the other hand, one of my good friends who always has coffee in hand, has joined us. Doug's an amazing moderator and an OG to the channel. Doug, I think we've been doing this together now for many, many years, my friend. It is 10:52 Eastern Standard Time. This is the October Ask Me Anything live stream with your host, Aaron Boster. I am super stoked to represent the Boster Center for MS, a single-point healthcare company where we care for families impacted by MS from around the globe. We've got Kuwait in the house. This may be the first time that we have someone from Kuwait. Thank you so much for being here. That is absolutely amazing. Georgia representing, 57 degrees down there. I'm a little jelly. Hello, Lisa, and hello, Chris Daniels. Thank you for joining us. Where in Scotland do you hail from, Chris? Blue Justice is in Indiana, my neighbor to the west. Right on, right on. Chris, I just met a really cool family from Southern Ohio, and they have Highland Fuzzy Cows. And I can't remember the proper name for the Highland Fuzzy Cows, but they're just amazing. And I didn't know that we had about 18 in a farm in Ohio. It's pretty cool. Elizabeth Thomas is in the house. Elizabeth, thank you for being here. Hey, Sue. How's Oregon out there? A couple more seconds before we close the polling question. There's 121 of you that have jumped online, but only 80 votes. Now, come on. If you haven't voted yet, do me a kind favor. Click the poll, answer the question, are you Team Coffee or are you Team Tea? Highland cows are super cute. Mansfield, Ohio is in the house. What's going on, Sammy? Houston, Texas representing. All right, there's only 88 people who have voted. There's 127 of you online. Somebody hasn't voted yet. Give it another 10 seconds and we're going to close the poll. Are you Team Coffee or are you Team Tea? Last chance to cast your vote. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The poll is closed and coffee wins the day. That might be a little bit regionally biased based on the time of day and where we're broadcasting from. Maggie in Chicago is joining us live. Thank you for being here. Finland is in the house. What's going on, my friend? Thank you so much for being here. We're going to go live at the top of the hour. We have 5 short minutes. If you need a bio break, boy, now's the time. Make sure that you have your water in hand. I, of course, have coffee next to it. I'm going to be flipping my camera on so you can see my ugly mug and start to answer your questions live at the top of the hour. Team Water, Valerie, I dig it. Yep, definitely want to up your water game. Jimmy representing Texas. Jude, I think I'm drinking Costco coffee right now. But I ground the beans this morning and it's pretty darn tasty, I must say. 4 minutes until we go live. Holland is in the house. Thank you for being here. That's amazing. McCreary is doing some water with protein. Team Tequila, Lisa. It's a little early in the morning. Joe Sider's rocking Folgers all day. We've got 4 minutes until we go live. I am super pumped to join you and answer questions live. Candy Duncan's in the house. Candy, thank you for being here. It's great to see you. Alexandria's got a fantastic question. Hold that question until we go live. It's a really important one. We have 3 minutes until we turn the cameras on. Now, if you have not found your flame button, please dig it up. It's time to flame up the chat. That's what we do the last couple minutes before we go live. So if my friend from Croatia and my friend from Wisconsin can jump on the flame, let's do it to it. There you go. Candy Duncan's got the right idea. Show me some flames, guys. Yeah, Sterling's got the right idea. Flame up the chat, guys. Whoop, whoop. That's exactly right. Hey, even so it as well. It's so good to see you, madam. One of our amazing moderators who has a fantastic YouTube channel of her own. If you have not checked her out, then you're missing something. Go check out Even So It as well. It's time to flame up the chat, guys. We have 2 minutes until we go live. You know how we do it up in here. Right before we go live, we let the YouTube algorithm know that we are pumped to be here today. And you can show that with your flames in the chat. Let's get the entire chat flamed up. Ben, the moderator, is jumping online. Partner, thank you for being here. Keep those flames going for a solid 2 minutes. Even so, it as well is sharing her link. Make sure you click that link and sign up for her channel, or you're missing something. Jennifer's leading the way. We've got flames galore. Look at it going. It's getting warm in here, guys. Hit those flames, yo. We've got 2 minutes. We want flames all the way through the chat. This is how we help the YouTube algorithm know that we are here and that we're stoked to be here. This helps push this content out so more families impacted by MS can find this channel and can up their game in hopes of energizing, empowering, and educating families impacted by MS. That's what we're going to do this morning. That's what we're going to do today. We've got 1 minute until we go live. Keep those flames going, guys. Don't stop now. Less than 60 seconds. This is getting exciting. Hit those flames, yo. Flame up the chat. Show some love. Thank you, Christine. Keep going. Keep going. We've got seconds left until it's time. Ben's got the right idea. We've got less than 60 seconds. Staring at the clock, waiting. Keep those flames rocking and rolling. It's heating up in here. Smash those fire emojis. Let's get right to 11 o'clock properly, teaching the algorithm that we are stoked to be here. Pushing out this content, helping up your game and other people impacted by MS and their families, educating and empowering them at the same time. Hey, howdy, hi everyone. Aaron Boster here. Wow, there are 159 of you that have jumped online. Thank you. That's amazing. It is Saturday, October 25th. It's a gorgeous day outside. And this is our October Ask Me Anything Multiple Sclerosis live stream. I'm Aaron Boster, representing the Boster Center for Multiple Sclerosis, a single-point healthcare company where we care for families impacted by MS literally from around the globe. We opened the center back in 2020, and ever since then, I jump online about once a month, just like this, and it's a really excellent moment for me. I love getting to connect with you guys. I love getting a chance to answer your questions live. It's a really fun opportunity, and it just feels great, so thank you for being here right now. Now, if you're looking in the chat and you see someone with a blue name, they're a moderator, say thank you to the moderators. I'm dyslexic and I'm one guy all by myself, and so having help during the chat is really, really valuable to me. So definitely tell your moderator that you appreciate their help. They're just volunteering to help me make this successful. Today, we've got Robert Eckerman in the house. Robert has a really cool YouTube channel. You should click that link and check him out. Robert is an expert at coming up with delicious and nutritious foods which are healthy for people impacted by MS. Love that guy. Thank you for being here. So here's the first question today, coming from Carla, who asks, do you have any updates on autologous stem cell transplants for MS? I do not. As I sit here today, I do not have any updates on stem cell transplantation for MS. Stem cell transplantation, just to talk about it very briefly, it's not a drug, it's not a medicine, it's a procedure where we remove your stem cells and then we murder your bone marrow. We lay waste to your bone marrow, we kill it. So if we stop there, you would succumb to infection. But before you die, we give you back your stem cells. Now, this has been used successfully to treat refractory cancers for a very long time. And more recently, in the last 20-some years, we've been increasingly looking into using a stem cell transplant to take care of autoimmune diseases. And in some parts of the world, for example, we have several folks that have jumped online today from Great Britain. In Great Britain, stem cell transplantation is approved by the UK for significant and severe MS. Here in the United States, where I practice, it's not FDA approved for MS, but it has been shown in clinical trials to be very, very promising. Stem cell transplantation, as I like to say, is not prime time yet. And I always want to caution people against stem cell tourism, where you travel to an exotic location like India or Russia or Chicago and pay someone to swap out your bone marrow, because it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do it properly, and it doesn't mean that you have excellent follow-up. and there's some risks associated with that. So I don't have any more updates, but as we get them, I will absolutely share with you in a live stream just like this one. That was a great question to kick us off. Thank you for that. Let's look for another question. All right. So RHI Wright says stem cell transplant sounds scary. It is scary. It's a very, very serious procedure. It's nothing to be trifled with. Candy's asking about clinical trials. So let's talk a little bit about clinical trials. And I'll actually share with you a very exciting update. So just this past week, the Boster Center for MS was selected to participate in a pilot clinical research study. So a pilot clinical research study is really, really early in it's an attempt to prove a concept. It's a pilot study. So when you do a pilot study, you're not doing rigorous statistics where you prove statistically that something is effective. You're just looking at it to see if you can find a signal. And so I don't do a lot of pilot studies in my clinical practice, but this pilot study is something I'm actually really, really excited about. Why? Because we're studying remyelination. So multiple sclerosis at its core is a problem where the myelin gets stripped off the axon. So here I've got just this plastic wire. Let's pretend this is an axon, okay, in the brain. And the plastic coating, that's the myelin. Now in the setting of MS, we strip the myelin off the wire and expose a bare wire, which can then break. And one of the ways that we would ideally like to fix MS is to remyelinate, to put the myelin back on the wire. And that's insanely hard to do. We've been working on it in many, many different ways. There's many investigations studying remyelination. And we were recently approached by an exciting company, and we're going to be doing this pilot study, looking at remyelination. But the way that we're looking at it is really, really cool, because we're going to try to see if we can use a device called a VNS, so a vagus nerve stimulator, to cause the brain to remyelinate. This is crazy talk. A vagus nerve stimulator is a little device which is put on the nerve, the vagus nerve, which is running through from your brain down your neck. So there's a small surgery where they clamp on this little stimulator. And then with a remote, they can turn it on and turn it off. In the world of seizures, a VNS can send a pulse and stop a seizure in someone who has a seizure disorder. But we're going to be looking to see if by turning it on, we can cause the brain to remyelinate, which is very exciting. And so that's a study that we're going to be gearing up to do. I am very, very excited to bring this to Ohio. And so more to come in the near term, but that was a big, exciting moment for us this past week at the Boster Center when we were selected to participate in this pilot study. So more to come as we move forward, but I'm very, very excited to be bringing that to the people that we take care of. All right, let's take another question. This is a really good question. All right, I like the complexity of the question. And this person shares, I'm on Rebif, so that's a disease-modifying therapy. I'm taking several other medicines, baclofen, Tegretol, for 4 years now. I have balance issues and I have spasticity. Should I be taking something for my balance? So this is a very good question. So people impacted by MS can develop chronic symptoms. For example, you can develop problems with balance, and it can lead to stumbling or even falling, which we want to avoid at all costs. And the viewer asks, well, is there something that I can take to help my balance? And there is. There's no pill for balance. There's no medicine for balance. The pill for balance is physical therapy. And physical therapy is rock star level helpful at improving gait and balance. So when I see my patient and they're kind of walking like they're drunk, or they're stumbling, or they're bumping into the wall, and they're a fall risk, I send them to the neurophysical therapist to work on gait and balance. And they always can improve it. It's very, very impressive. And so as you think about the different symptoms that bother you, balance is a very important one. In fact, it's one of the 4 tenets of MS exercise, in my opinion. When we want to exercise for MS, we want to do balance, cardiovascular endurance, limb flexibility, and we also want to do core strengthening. Now, I wonder, did you guys just see a bunch of balloons go up? I don't know how that happened. That was neat. But At any rate, point here is balance is very, very important to work on, and there is no pill for balance. The way that you're going to game that out is by working with a physical therapist. If you guys are not familiar with a friend of mine, Dr. Gretchen Howley, she is a rock star in the MS space. She's a terminally educated neuro PT with extreme expertise in MS. She's written a beautiful book called The Missing Link. She has a YouTube channel that you should check out. I've had her as a guest on my channel many times, and she has outstanding suggestions to help you up your balance game. So if you're not familiar with her, you should be. All right, let's keep on keeping on, taking a look at what we got here. Happy birthday, Candy. So Donald Duck's asking about psilocybin for remyelination. No data that I'm aware of that would suggest that it remyelinates. It's not been studied. Now, Even So It As Well is throwing up Gretchen Howley's YouTube channel. So if you wanted to check out Dr. Gretchen Howley, The Missing Link, here's where you do it. All of you should subscribe to her channel. She's an amazing, amazing neuro PT and a friend of mine. All right, let's take another question. And I'm going to change up the scene here a little bit. This is my calming river scene. I love this one. A little sip of coffee. All right. So this is a very important question coming from Martin. What are the cancer risks with B-cell depleters? So I do not associate B-cell depleters with a significant cancer risk. When we studied one of the B-cell depleters, Ocrevus, during the clinical trials, there was a signal where 6 women on Ocrevus got breast cancer, which scared us. And so we did an investigation, and what we determined was it was the same risk as chance. Now, that was many, many years ago, and subsequent to that, we've about, 160,000+ people have been on Ocrevus. And with numbers like that, we can really look at the risk of breast cancer very accurately, and it is exactly the same as the general population. So I don't look at a B-cell depleter as a big cancer risk. In fact, if you talk to an oncologist, they'll laugh and they'll remind you that they use B-cell depleters to treat certain types of cancers. So this is obviously something that you want to game out with your neurologist because you want to make sure that specifically for you that a given drug is safe. But I'm actually very, very comfortable with B-cell depleters, and I don't view them as increasing risk of cancer. So this is a very interesting question from Klein Motorsports and Racing, who says, Dr. Boster, have you seen any research regarding prolonged emotional abuse or trauma leading to an autoimmune response such as MS? So I haven't seen emotional abuse causing MS, but I absolutely think that early trauma can have an impact far above and beyond just emotions. And there's something called epigenetics, where behavioral things in your life can have an impact on gene expression. I would encourage you to check out a friend of mine who is a PhD psychologist at the Cleveland Clinic. She has a lot of information on this topic. I'm blanking on her name, which is a little embarrassing as I speak to you right now. I'll probably think of it in about 3 minutes and I'll shout it out. But this is a topic which is very, very relevant. So someone's asking if I'm familiar with Dr. Flavia Nelson at the University of Miami, and I certainly am. I consider Dr. Nelson a friend of mine. She used to be out west, and she's now gone where it's warm and sunny. Dr. Flavia Nelson, amongst other things, is an amazing neuroimager and a very, very smart MS researcher. She's actually a wonderful person. I like her very much. So if you see her, tell her that Aaron said hi. So Terry G asks a question. If my absolute lymphocytes don't go up, will I be able to take second year of Mavenclad? This is a very nice question. So let's deconstruct it a little bit. And let's change to a purple scene while we do it. So Mavenclad is a medicine that you take the first month and the second month, and then you're done for that whole year. And then a year later, you do month 1 and month 2, and then you're done. And there's some labs that we check to help with safety. So prior to starting Mavenclad, we need to do some age-appropriate cancer screening, and we want to check laboratories, including to look at your white blood cell counts and all those kind of things. We give you Mavenclad, and the Mavenclad will push down some of your white blood cells. And the question here is about the lymphocyte count, and that's the number that we look at. And it's supposed to push it down, and then over the next year, that number comes back up. And then we want it to come up almost all the way before we give you the second year, because we want to pulse, and then we want to pulse. And so before we give the second year of Mavenclad, we check a blood count called a CBC, or complete blood count, which will give us the lymphocyte count, the ALC. And we want that number to be above 800. So if 1 year goes by and we check your lab and it's not at 800, then we don't want to give you the second dose of Mavenclad yet, because it could increase the risk of immunosuppression. And again, in order for this drug to work, we have to drop the cells down and let them come back up, and then drop them down and let them come back up. It's like 2 pulses. So what do we do if someone has done year 1, we wait a year, we check their labs and they're not back to 800? We wait. And we can check it again periodically, and if it comes back up within 6 months, then we can go ahead and give the second dose. But if 6 months goes by and it's still not back up above 800, that's when we stop and we don't give any more. And I'll remind people that if your counts went down and didn't come back up, in many ways, you've been treated by suppressing the immune response. We don't want to give you more. So I think that the answer depends on how quickly your ALC comes back up and to what degree. Great question. So Ben asks a wonderful question. And Ben's asking about tolobrutinib. So tolobrutinib, and I'm just going to spell out that word. Tolobrutinib is a drug approved to treat certain types of cancer. And it's being studied in the setting of multiple sclerosis. And the data has been coming out slowly over the last couple of years as we've been doing these clinical trials. So we did a clinical trial that we participated in at the Boster Center for MS, studying tolobrutinib in relapsing MS, where we gave people with relapsing MS either tolobrutinib or we gave them Aubagio, which is an active comparator. That's an MS-approved drug. And that trial was called the Gemini trial, and it didn't show that tolobrutinib was any better than Aubagio at decreasing attacks and new spots. So that was a negative trial, not because tolobrutinib did poorly, just Aubagio did as well, right? And so there was no difference, and it was a negative trial. We did a second clinical trial with tolobrutinib, but instead of studying relapsing MS, we studied people that used to have relapses, but they haven't recently. They have secondary progressive MS with no attacks. And in that trial, everyone in the trial either got tolobrutinib or dummy drug, placebo. And in that trial, the patients, the Hercules trial, the patients that were on the tolobrutinib, they got less worse. We slowed their disability by almost 30% over a period of 2 years. And that's highly statistically significant, which is very, very exciting. And so that has been sent to the FDA. The FDA has fast-tracked it, and they're going to give us their answer on whether this will be approved for non-relapsing secondary progressive MS in December, which is really cool. Now, there's a third trial, which is studying tolobrutinib in primary progressive MS. And that's a trial that we're doing at the Boster Center as well, called Perseus trial. So you notice a theme here, Gemini, Hercules, Perseus. And in the Perseus trial, people with PPMS are either getting dummy drug or they're getting tolobrutinib. And that trial is still ongoing. It's locked to enrollment. We have 2 patients that are participating at the Boster Center for MS, and we should get a readout on that trial next year. And we're very, very excited and hopeful about it. Now, that was not Ben's question. Ben just said, what are my opinions about tolobrutinib? So, Ben, my opinions are still evolving because we're still collecting data and I'm still learning. I don't think tolobrutinib is going to be a great anti-inflammatory. I don't think it's going to compete with active anti-inflammatory drugs like Tysabri or Ocrevus, Kesimpta, things like that. I do think that there's some good rationale scientifically, and what we saw in the Hercules trial, that this could be a great drug for helping slow progression and smoldering MS. And where I would like to see tolobrutinib used, where I would like to see BTK molecules used, is as an add-on top of an anti-inflammatory. Now, that's not the way that we're testing tolobrutinib. That's not the way that it'll be FDA approved, but that's where I would ideally like to see it. So, for example, we put you on, say, a B-cell depleter and your disease is getting quiet from an inflammatory standpoint. And then in my hypothetical mind, we add tolobrutinib to slow down smoldering MS in the background. That's my 2 cents. Nobody's asked except Ben, but thank you for asking, and I'll let you know as things evolve. All right, let's take another question. Mano is headed to the gym. I hope you have a good workout. So Drew's asking what I think of Dr. Tardo at UT Southwestern in Texas. So I don't know Dr. Tardo, but I do know UT Southwestern. And I would submit that UT Southwestern is probably one of the very best MS centers in the world. It was started by a friend of mine, and it's currently run by a different friend of mine. So Dr. Darren Akuta, who runs UT Southwestern, is one of the smartest and most innovative MS neurologists that I've ever met in my life. It's a really good place. So I don't know that doctor, but she works at a heck of a great place. All right. So this is a question coming from Alex, who says, thanks for doing the Q&A. You're very welcome. Is it common to discontinue a B-cell depleter like Ocrevus after so many years or at a certain age and switch to a weaker treatment, low immunoglobulin? All right. So what I think Alex is asking is it common that when you're on a B-cell depleter, so that would be like Rituxan, Kesimpta, Ocrevus, Briumvi, when you're on a B-cell depleter, is it common that your antibodies will go low, so that's immunoglobulin or antibodies, and that you may have to switch? And so what do we know? Well, we know that during the clinical trials, we didn't see IgG go down very much because we only did the clinical trials for 2 years. And what we've learned is that when you've been on a B-cell depleter longer than that, you can start to see your IgG, your antibody levels, go down a little bit. They can decrease. And if they go low enough, that might increase the risk of infection. So what do we do about that? Well, what I do is I check labs before I give Ocrevus. So I like to check a couple labs, the antibody levels, that's called the IgG level, and the ALC, which someone asked about earlier in the live stream, the lymphocyte count. And I like those numbers ideally to be above 600 because I feel like if they're above 600, we probably have enough antibodies and enough white blood cells to fight off bad guys. If it goes below 600, that might cause us to delay or hold your infusion for a while to help prevent further suppressing you and increasing risk of infection. And so sometimes when we check labs, we may decide, hey, given that your labs are on the low side, let's wait another 2 or 3 months and then recheck them. Or if we find out that you've had lots of infections leading up to your infusion, we also may delay or push back your infusion. There are some situations where the counts go down and they don't really come back for quite some time. And I have one patient, it took upwards of 2 years for all of his numbers to normalize, but that's very unusual. It normally happens much faster than that. And so your question is, would you have to switch to something else? It really depends. What I find is that oftentimes, instead of switching, if the patient really wants to stay on Ocrevus, like let's say it's working really well, is that we just dose when the counts start to come back, and oftentimes we end up dosing once every 9 or 12 months. And that's off-label. That's not the way the drug was developed, but that's what we do in clinical practice sometimes. So Blue Justice says that smoldering MS sucks, and I agree. So this is a really, really relevant question. It's a very important question. And I would submit to you that this question is probably why I see about half my consults. People come with this question to Columbus, Ohio, to sit with me so we can talk through this question very, very frequently. So I really appreciate Suzanne asking it. But before I answer it, I'm thirsty. And you know what that means. It's time for the MS Water Challenge, yo. When I drink, you drink. Drink up, guys. Whew, that's really, really good. I have a soda stream. This is not a commercial. They're not paying me. I just really like it. So let's talk about this question. Would you please explain how a scan can show no change, yet you have symptoms that are increasing? So yes, I will explain that. And I think it's really important to understand, because if you don't understand it, you might feel like you're going crazy. Very commonly, I will hear the following story. Person with MS goes to the neurologist, and the neurologist says, congratulations, you're stable, your scans have no new spots, and you haven't had attacks. Good job. And then the patient says, yeah, but doc, I'm getting written up at my job and I'm having increasing trouble performing my job. They say, no, you've had no attacks and there's no new spots. You're doing great. Say, yeah, but I'm having trouble walking and I'm falling a lot. No, you've had no spots and there's no attacks. You're doing great. And the person's going cuckoo because they know their body. They know that they're getting worse, and yet they're being told by their neurologist that everything's hunky-dory. So what the hell? Here's the deal. There are two ways that someone with MS can develop disability from MS. One way is obvious, and the other way not so much. So the obvious way is somebody has an MS attack, and then they don't fully recover. So imagine, for example, God forbid that you have an optic neuritis and you go blind in your left eye, which would be abominable. And then it only comes back like halfway. So you can see shapes and stuff, but you can't read out of your eye anymore. So you have accrued a degree of disability, right? Because you didn't fully recover from the optic neuritis. That's one way in MS that you can develop disability, from an attack that doesn't fully recover. The second way that you can get worse is more subtle. When there's damage to the brain and spinal cord, your brain tries to rewire the best that it can. But as you age and as your brain gets older, the areas of damage wear out first. They wear out faster than the rest of your brain. And so as you age and as your brain shrinks with advanced age year after year, and as your brain ages, the areas of damage wear out first. And so you can see a reemergence of old symptoms separate from an attack. And we have a term for that called PIRA, progression, which is independent from relapse activity. I sort of view it as like paying the devil's price, because you pay at the time it happened, and then years later, as the brain ages and wears out, 10 to 15 years later, those problems may re-manifest. And it's that second part that is so darn frustrating and confusing. There are neurologists that are not up on the latest understanding of MS. And if they haven't had any education since the 90s, they may still think attack, no attack, spot, no spot, next patient. And not having an attack is always good, like 100%. That's wonderful. Not having a new spot on that MRI is good. It's always good. That's wonderful. But that doesn't mean that everything's okay, because you can have no new spots and no attacks, and yet you've progressed in disability. And so I think understanding that is really, really important, because A, it's true, it's honest, and B, we're allowed to celebrate that you haven't had any new structural brain damage. That's a cause for celebration. So yay. We're allowed to celebrate that you haven't had any attacks, and at the same time, we're allowed to be upset and try to combat the progression of disability. And I want you to understand that, because if nothing else, I want you to understand the breadth and depth of what's going on so that you don't feel like you're being gaslit by your neurologist. That was a great question. Thank you for asking it. All right, let's take a look here. So our moderator, Even So It As Well, is helping out, and I am so grateful. She's thrown a link to a video that I made on progression independent from relapse activity, or PIRA, a while back, and so you can check that out. So Mama Bear asks a great question. She says, can you regain brain volume? No. We don't know how to grow more brain, really. But one thing we can do is we can slow the rate the brain shrinks at. So let me explain this. After the age of 18, all human brains shrink a little bit each year. So in the same way that we get shorter each year, like a little bit as we age, in the same way that our skin becomes thinner as we age, the brain shrinks a little bit each year with age. In the setting of multiple sclerosis, brains can shrink a lot faster. So in untreated or undertreated MS, you can see brains shrink upwards of 10 times faster. And that correlates with bad outcomes like cognitive impairments and physical disability and progression. And so you can't grow brain, but what you can do is you can slow the rate of shrinkage. my goal when I'm treating you for MS is to get your brain atrophy, that's the term for brain shrinkage, to be that of a healthy control. And we actually measure brain size in clinic, and we look and we chart it. And I want to see that the slope of your brain shrinkage is that of a healthy control and not accelerated. So whereas you can't regain brain volume, you can slow brain shrinkage, which is very, very important. That was a good question. Thank you. So Denine's in the house. What's going on? Thank you for being here. All right, let's look for some other questions. There are 226 of you that have jumped online. That's amazing. Thank you, guys. I've said this before, but when I started the channel years ago, I didn't realize that there would be this community, which is so enriching my life. I just wanted to make videos so that I could help patients better understand. And I didn't feel like there were great resources that I trusted on the internet, so I figured I would just make my own resource, and then I could refer my patient to me because I think I'm telling you the truth. But I didn't realize that there would be this community, and it's amazing. So when I turn my camera on and you give up time during your busy weekend to jump online and spend a few minutes with me, it means a lot to me. So thank you for that. That's really cool. Let's take another question, guys, and let's change up the scene a little bit. Here's my tablet scene. All right, what do we got? So this is an interesting question from Larry. So Larry says, have you ever heard of hypnotherapy or hypnosis to treat MS? I'd be interested in a study. It seems like using your brain to fight something attacking your brain is a possibility. So no, I'm not familiar with hypnosis helping MS, but I would be very interested in considering hypnosis to treat certain symptoms. And it's not something I know very much about. I haven't done a lit search for hypnosis and MS in a while, so maybe that's what I'll do this afternoon. Thank you for bringing that up. So Even So It As Well says, well, why don't all MS centers measure brain volume? And my answer is I don't know. I get really frustrated sometimes by not understanding why certain doctors do or don't do things. And I try really hard not to think about that. Instead, what I like to think about is I can do it the way that I think it should be done and that you and I can figure it out together. And why someone else does something confuses me sometimes. I've left large academic healthcare systems because they didn't make sense to me. And there was so much bureaucracy and nonsense that I felt like it impacted my ability to care for patients. So I don't know why other centers don't do that, but they should, at least in my opinion. Poland is in the house. All right, let's take another question here. So Me Not Me asks, are there any trials for remyelination in NMO? I'm not aware of any NMO remyelination trials currently available, but you could go to clinicaltrials.gov, which is a website where all registered trials are available. And so that's an easy place. You could type in neuromyelitis optica spectrum disorder, NMOSD, and then you would see any trial that's studying NMOSD, and that would be a really easy way to check that out. So this is a great question from Mandy, who says, Dr. Boster, if a patient may need to leave the U.S. part-time for health, safety, and affordability reasons, are there specific countries where MS specialists you would recommend within the EU? All right, or Canada, yes. So I think, now I'm going to give you my opinions, but I have never practiced in any of these countries. And so I don't know what the actual delivery of care is. I just know that the technology and the expertise is outstanding where I'm mentioning, and I know that these places have big MS centers. So if I was going to be treated outside the United States for my MS, where would I feel comfortable? I would feel comfortable in Germany. I think Germany has amazing MS neurologists. Amazing MS research comes out of Germany. Very, very developed medicine there. Really cutting edge technologies. And some of the smartest MS neurologists, I think, are German. Italy is another place where I think they have really good MS neurology. Some of the best centers in the world I would submit are in Italy. And I think that there are some really top-notch MS centers in Great Britain, specifically in London. I think Bart's is a really, really good MS center, for example. So those are some locations where I would feel really comfortable. Now, there's plenty of other places that do a bang-up job. I just hold those locations in super, super high regard. So I hope that helps answer your question. All right, let's take some more questions here from the chat. We've been going live for 30 minutes. So Alex Morris says, hi, Dr. B. Well, hello, Alex. Thanks for your videos. You're welcome. In your clinical practice, how achievable is it to make MS boring? So that's a great question, because as you know, my goal is to make MS boring. I want to make your MS boring so you can live your best life despite having MS, and it doesn't make decisions for you. And so how often do we pull that off? I would submit that we probably pull that off 50 to 75% of the time. And I think that we have to define what boring means. And that's very individualized. But I think that we can do that with increasing frequency. Now, BC says Ohio Health or Ohio State for MS. So if you're in Columbus, Ohio, I would submit that neither are the best place to go. And I would strongly encourage you to consider visiting us at the Boster Center for Multiple Sclerosis. We're in Columbus. You can contact us at bosterms.com, or you can literally call the clinic at 614-304-3444 and schedule an appointment, and we'll see you wicked fast. So that's where I would recommend you go if you're in Columbus, Ohio. All right, let's take another question from the chat. Joe Siders reminding us that if you click that button, you can sign up for the Boster Corner, which is a free monthly newsletter where we share the latest and greatest in MS clinical trials and research and let you know when I go live so that you never miss an opportunity. So Robbie says, lumbar puncture on Tuesday. Is it possible to die from it? No. Now, Robbie, if you had a really large brain tumor and they didn't know about it, and they did a lumbar puncture, there's a very small risk that you could herniate your brain and die. But as long as you don't have a really large brain tumor, then no, then you're not going to die from a lumbar puncture. I understand apprehension surrounding a lumbar puncture. I've performed thousands of lumbar punctures myself, and so I've gotten really comfortable with them. That's real big of me because I'm not the one receiving it. I'm the one delivering it. But I will share that with an expert at giving an LP, it's not that big of a to-do. It shouldn't be any worse than a blood draw, genuinely. And so I hope that after your lumbar puncture Tuesday night, you say, man, that was no big deal. Fork UMS is being very kind. Thank you very much for the kind words. I'll mail you the $50 that we agreed upon earlier. All right, what else we got cooking here? So Zahra Mohammed asks, what if my MRI doesn't show lesions? Can I still have MS? No. Was diagnosis based on my symptoms and blood test and lumbar puncture. Right now, I've got balance issues, blurry vision. So I would submit to you, Zahra, that with modern imaging, so with modern MRI technology, particularly with the newest updates that just came out a couple months ago, that it's not possible to have MS without finding spots on your MRI. All right, what else we got cooking here? I'm going to change the scene up a little bit. Let's try to get zen with y'all. There's 228 of you that have jumped online. Thank you for that. That's amazing. Now, how could we possibly have an MS discussion without somebody talking about cannabis? So today, Indiana James brought up the cannabis question and says, cannabis for all MS patients. So cannabinoids, which are the active chemical compounds in cannabis, can help some MS symptoms. Now, cannabis does not help slow MS down. It doesn't do that. And cannabis doesn't help depression. It does not help balance. It does not help bladder. It doesn't do those things. But in some patients, cannabis can help some very bothersome symptoms in people with MS. For example, it can help insomnia. It can help nausea. It can help anxiety. And it can help spasticity and neuropathic pain. So I have found that for some patients, we can use edible, oral, or topical cannabis, or even tincture of cannabis to treat some of those symptoms with great success. Now, not everybody responds, just like not everybody responds to Lyrica or baclofen. And there are side effects, and if someone tells you there's no side effects, of course, they're fibbing. But for some patients, it's an outstanding and very natural option, which I really like. All right, guys. We've been going live for about 40 minutes. I am so appreciative that 229 of you saw fit to jump online today. Thank you for that. My name's Aaron Boster, and I've been enjoying doing these monthly live streams going on for over 5 years now. And so as long as you keep enjoying our connecting like this, I'm going to keep doing it. I look so forward to an opportunity to connect with you and answer your questions live. If you haven't been to the Boster Center for MS, check us out. Go to bosterms.com and look at us. If you want to sign up for our newsletter, you can scroll through the chat and find the links for the Boster Corner. And so we'll update you on any upcoming research that we have available or any upcoming live streams. So I'm going to wind things down now. It's been an amazing October live stream. Thank you all very much for being here. I can't wait to close things down and look through the chat and see where all of you logged in and joined from. Until my next Monday morning video or until my next live stream, this is Aaron Boster saying be safe and take care. Have a great